If you clicked on this video, you probably understand the importance of journaling your trades. And it's something that in my life, in my trading, has completely transformed things for the better ever since I began a couple of years ago. And so in this video, what I wanted to do was detail how we can create a trading journal so that we can use that to serve us and improve our trading. Now, one word that I think I may have left out was useful. We want to create a useful trading journal because we all probably know that it's easy to come in here and, we could write some stuff down and we have a journal, we're journaling, and people take journaling in many different ways. There's no right or wrong answer for how you want to journal anything. You can journal you can go before bed and just write down your thoughts. You can wake up and have gratitude things or say affirmations or whatever. There's so many ways, and people all call that different forms of journaling. In the trading world, in our world here, the only thing that's important is that it's useful. If it's not useful, then what are we doing? So that's the biggest takeaway. That's what I want to get into here in this video. So the first things first we got to talk about is the platform. We need a place to journal our trades. And I am not going to sit here and say, here, buy my platform, or no. There are so many options out there. There really are. This is not 1926 anymore. We have softwares that we can utilize. I, for example, use TradeZella. I will leave a link to them below because I will have a lot of their screenshots up. But I will also screenshot some of what I used to do in the past, and I'll talk about some of that as well. That was before I used TradeZella. That was when I did things on my own. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I'll explain how this was or wasn't useful for me. But the link below at TradeZella will save you 10%, so if you ever decide to use them, that is obviously there for you, and it supports the channel. But I've been using TradeZella for over 2 years now. Over 2 years now that I have used TradeZella. Do I log in every single day? No, because I don't trade every single day. But when I trade, or when I want to review my trades, I log in at TradeZella. And sometimes a little too often if I'm over trading. If you go your own route by creating a spreadsheet or doing it by hand, that's totally fine. I mean, we are in, a different time. It's not 1925. But if you want to go that route, we need to make sure that this is something that we can see ourselves doing. So the reason why I use a software, and I don't mean this to sell it to try to make it to be like, oh, yeah, software. The reason why is because it makes it easier so I don't have to do all the busy work and okay, let me get my entry and log my entry, my exit, the time. It does it all for me. So then all I have to do is come in and pick out the pieces and then analyze it, which we're going to get to it in a second. But you need to consider your trading frequency and the manual versus the auto upload that a software could provide you. So with some platforms or some softwares, in the case of TradeZella, they have a massive list of brokers and prop firms and whatever that you can connect your account to. They will scan every couple hours through your account, and then if there are any trades to log, they will automatically export that data and log it into your TradeZella, so it's done for you. If you are manually going to do this, and you trade 17 times a day, good chance you're not profitable, but I'm not going to say you can't be. It's possible. Then you want to make sure you understand, what you're getting into. Is it worth the time to have to go back and manually log all these things if I trade a lot, if I'm a high frequency trader? If I'm a swing trader, then I could totally do this manually because I'm not taking 7,000 trades a month. If I'm a day trader, but I only take 1 or 2 trades a day, I could totally do it manually. A little extra work, but I can totally do it. So take that into consideration before you think, oh, I got to go get a software, or I can go create my own Excel spreadsheet or my own journal on the side. Initially, I had an Excel spreadsheet, and what I would do is I would log some basic things. And what ended up happening was it was good for me initially because I was so new and I wasn't tracking very, crazy data. I was tracking the bare bones, the basics, the absolute minimum. And I'm going to talk about what I think would be really important to track in a second. But you can kind of see what I was doing, the numbers, right? This is back when I was trading penny stocks, years ago, back in 2019, I believe, when I began and started this specific trading journal. And I've come a long way in terms of what I actually extract from my data and what's important to me now, because a lot of the stuff here was not. The next step of creating a trading journal comes down to the execution. This is something we have to be aware of. What is the platform we're trading on? Are we trading on multiple platforms? And do we have a strategy? So let's say I used Webull as an example, and I trade on Webull, and I, log my trades either automatically through a software or on my own, and I trade on Webull over here, but then I have a Robinhood account, and then I have, a Schwab account, and then I have this and that, and I'm taking some little trades here, some things here. I have 2 strategies. Like, this is all going to play into it. Just because you're now tracking your trades doesn't give you the excuse to just do random shit on a different account because, it's a few dollars. It's not that much money. No, like, that's not helping. Like, we want to get to the root. Like, when we are journaling our trades, we want to get to the root of our problems. Okay? A lot of us run from our problems, but we want to get to the root of them. And we can't do that if we're scattered in 20 directions, logging some trades, trading one strategy today, a different one tomorrow. We're scattered. We want to do this in a way where when we are trading, it's ideally in one account. Maybe our investments are in a different account. I would recommend that. And then keeping it as simple as possible from a strategy perspective. I really recommend one strategy, but I'm not saying initially you need to do that because maybe you don't know where to start, and so you have a couple of strategies. But when you have a strategy, this goes into journaling. What I would recommend you do at the top of your journal or at the top of that section for this strategy, or through the software, you can log and tag the strategy. So you can create custom tags, an example in TradeZella, where you have the ability to say, I used this strategy today, or this trade came off of this strategy, and you can tag that in, and so you can keep track of what strategies are working and what's not. But the key with the strategy is you want consistency. So whatever you do, write those rules, write those triggers or requirements at the top, or at least identify that somehow, some way for your own sake and your own notes, so that when you trade that way, you have that strategy dialed in. So that way, when you're trading and you trade that strategy, let's say strategy A versus B, you have a consistent criteria. We don't want to be trading blind, and I mean that by like, I generally trade momentum. But momentum, there's a million ways to trade momentum. You can be playing breakouts. You can be playing EMAs. Like, hey, what do you do? Like, inverse. Like, what are you doing? So make sure you have that somewhere and you're following that, because if we don't do that, our data is effectively going to be useless at the end of the day. We'll have some data, but it's not going to be telling us, does this strategy work? Does this strategy work? If we're all over the place. The next piece comes down to our journal organization. This is where things get interesting. So at bare bones, we want the symbol, we want the P&L, so we made money, lost money, and how much. And then we want the strategy tag underneath. So do we use strategy A, strategy B? If we're using one strategy, this is all irrelevant. All we have to do is just track the P&L, the symbol, because we're using the same strategy, and that's already known. That's a given. We may not need to have that, but those things I think are really important. So we take that data, and then we're able to extract a couple of things. We can track our win-loss ratio, so winners versus losers, how many winners do we have versus how many losers we had, and get a percentage. And then we also want to track our average win versus loss. So we want to tally up the columns, and we want to have, what is our average winner? So if we have a ton of winning trades, what's our average? Take the amount of dollars we made, divide that by the amount of trades to make those dollars. We have a number for our average winner, and then do the exact same thing for the losers, and then compare that. Put that on a ratio, winners over losers. Is that number above 1, below 1, above 2, below 2, whatever? That tells us what we are doing on average. Are we winning more than we're losing? A number above 1 means we are winning more on our winners than we are losing on our losers. And a number of 2, for example, would mean our winners are on average double the size of our losers. Good data to have, as well as that win rate, that win percentage, so we can see if we make tweaks. Does the win rate go up? Does our average risk reward go down? What's happening? Those are really important stats that we want to be aware of. And then the last piece that I want to talk about here is our notes and analysis section. Here is where we want to be able to put something down and journal some notes on a given trade. So what I like to do is sometimes I will add a screenshot of the chart, and then I will add a couple of sentences about what happened, whether that was good or bad. I will write that down inside the notes section. And if you have your own spreadsheet or something, you'll want to have a section set aside for this. So you at least can go back, you can look at all these pictures, screenshots of the charts, what happened, and then how you were thinking at the time. You want to have that notes section, because if you don't have the notes, it's going to be tough to kind of go back into your head and say, how was I thinking? Unless you're your voice recording, whatever you want to do. but have a spot where you're able to put some notes about how you were thinking at the time, because that can be very, very beneficial data as you start to progress or as your mindset changes over time, to see how you were thinking and then be able to go back to, when I was thinking like this, I was doing this, these are my results. When I was thinking like this, here are my results. And then compare and contrast the two of those things. That's really, really important, because when we have those notes, then we can make that analysis. And this is where the fun actually comes. So we can see our win rates, we can see our average win loss, and then we can say, okay, we have what looks like a pretty good strategy because our win rate is 50%. We just need to get our average win loss above 1, and hopefully, a little bit more than just a little bit above 1. Get it above 1, and then we have a profitable system if we keep rolling with these numbers. How do we do that? Now we got to go make little tweaks, make those corrections to our strategy. Let's try this, let's try that, and test one variable at a time. We can also track that, tag those things in our software, or make that a note when we are taking our next trades. I am now trying the same strategy A, except I'm moving my stop loss to here on my trades because I think that could help. Track that for a period of time, see what the results are. It's all about building out a journal that's actually useful and beneficial to you. And that's what it's all about. I also put together a completely free 1-hour video that teaches you the ins and outs of what trade tracking is all about and how it completely changed the game for me and my trading. There will be a link below this. It is literally free. All you have to do is sign up for it. You get the free video, and I'm not trying to sell you anything at the end. That is literally it. So if you want to go deeper, there is a 1-hour video in the video description box down below that you can get access to go deeper. Hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.